Ready.
Howdy, folks.
Howdy, folks.
That's my other channel that I do that on. Welcome back to Dumpster Diving.
The podcast.
I'm Jackie.
And I'm Jo.
And that's Diggle.
Diggle.
Diggle, don't scratch your butt. Come on.
Come on. He was already in.
We're back. We took a week off. We're back with episode 8.
I think so.
I think it's episode 8.
8.
Of the podcast. And I had 2 topics today, and I did not even decide before I hit record which one we were going to follow, but I think I know. I know. I'm trying to think. Fun fact, as you all know, we talked about how I've been reading AITAH. I got her into it.
Yeah.
I got her into it. She's hooked.
I'm on the second book.
She's on the second book. She's going to catch up with me. I'm only on the third. So there's that.
Yeah.
What else? Diggle is also reading it. No, I'm just kidding. But wouldn't that be crazy if he could? Anything else we want to talk about?
Been working in the yard this weekend.
You have been working in the yard.
And
actually, that might be a good segue for what I had planned.
Oh, cool.
So, you've been working in the yard. I have not been working in the yard.
No, you've been editing.
I look at y'all and see y'all outside and go, ooh. I don't like the outdoors.
Sometimes. I don't know if she's my child.
That's why I have a vitamin D deficiency, I guess.
I guess so.
No, listen, I do like going outside. I like the outdoors. I just don't like, first of all, I like the outdoors when it's cold.
Yeah.
Second of all, I don't like bugs. Diggle's leaving us already.
He's going to get in his bed.
So that's my dilemma.
Yeah.
I like running and being outside. I was gonna go for a run this morning. As you can see, I have an Apple Watch for the first time in my life. I've never had an Apple Watch, but I have some friends that have them, and I wanted to use it for mostly working out and running. And I was gonna go run this morning because it's Monday right now, and I was like, Monday, let's get back into running. Let's get back into the routine or whatever, because it's Monday. Because we've taken a week off. My dad was on vacation and everything. So I didn't know it, but I wake up this morning and it's thunderstorming. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that it was supposed to rain or anything. And I was like, I'm going back to bed.
It was great.
It was,
weather.
Yeah. So
I felt really guilty because I slept late and David had to get up and go to work this morning.
So, yeah, the outdoors are fine in moderation. I just don't like sweating, and I don't like bugs. And
she used to play with bugs when she's little. We've always been outdoor people, her dad and I.
I loved camping as a child.
Yeah. And she would play out in the yard while we worked in our yard and play with the bugs. She loved roly-polies. I don't know what happened.
My friends that listen to this will probably not believe you at all that you're saying this.
I don't know what happened.
They're like, that's not the Jackie I know. I did. I played with bugs.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. Back off. Go away.
We had one of those, kits you buy for kids, the little bug keeper. Remember your little bug keeper you had?
I do remember it. We would keep butterflies and stuff, right?
Yeah. I'm
not saying I don't, some bugs are cool, right? Butterflies are beautiful, whatever. But bugs don't bother me as much when I'm when I'm running and I see a bug. It's not like I'm and I try to kill it. I'm like, okay, this is their territory. What I don't like about bugs is when they're in my house and I'm like, this is not your territory anymore. I don't bother you outside. You don't bother me in here. So, all that being said, I think that's a good segue into our topic today, which is the great outdoors.
Oh, good.
Or is it going to be that great? I don't know. We'll see. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the follow button, the join button, any of those. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, make sure to leave a review, all that good stuff, and a comment down below of what kind of things you want to see us cover in the future. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Yay.
This one is one that I got recommended the other day. I got a notification for it. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. But it's summertime. Lots of people are at the beach, right? This is from 13 days ago. And it's from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for having fun at a beach while my friends waited in a Wendy's for 3 hours?
Oh, no.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, context. Me and 6 other friends went on a beach trip. The plan was to spend 2 days. We had booked a hotel for one night. We had booked a hotel for one night, $1,222, for which our friend said we could pay him back later. I paid for a rental van, which we took there, $571, which I also said everyone could pay us back later. The first day, everyone went to the beach and was satisfied. The second day, 4 people in the group were not trying to go on the sand. I feel that. Instead, they wanted to walk around the city around the beach. For context, this is Virginia Beach. Me and 2 other people in the group wanted to go in the water. We brought the keys to the rental van with us since we were the only ones with licenses. We had planned to leave the beach by 7 p.m. so 2 people in the non-beach group could go to work the next day while allowing us to fulfill our rental van drop-off for 2:30 a.m. While me and my 2 friends were in the water, the non-beach going group called us 5 times claiming that they wanted to leave early. It was 4:57. Man, they are down to the minute. And we didn't see the calls until we got out of the water at 5:43. They said they were so exhausted that they sat and waited in a Wendy's for 3 hours. Me and the beach-going friends still wanted to get food, so we got the food, and then we went to pick them up and headed back home. This was 7 on the dot. My friend is giving me this silent treatment. Am I the asshole?
Not really.
No, I don't think so.
If I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, same.
I mean, they had agreed on 7, and they're all investing money in this. And I get if they they're retired, but
I don't think they could have walked back to the beach.
Yeah, or of course we don't know. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it was too far. And I guess they already had to check out of their place they were staying at.
I guess.
Because your checkout's usually like 11.
A hotel that's a nice hotel.
Well, I'm thinking maybe a beach house or something they rented.
Did they
say
we
hotel?
Had booked a hotel for one night.
Wow. Must have been a big suite.
Yeah. $1,200.
How many people?
For one night. Me and 6 other friends.
So 7. They're splitting it 7 ways. So
yeah. 4 people in the group didn't go to the beach, and 3 people went to the beach because they wanted to go swimming.
And I guess they had the
they
vehicle.
had the van.
Yeah.
But they had the van because they're the only ones with licenses. So that makes sense. They had planned to leave the beach by 7. So they called them at 5, basically. 4:57.
Right. So they called them 2 hours earlier than their original.
And they didn't get out until 5:45. They said they were exhausted and they sat and waited in a Wendy's for 3 hours. Well, it's not their fault that they were exhausted and sat in a Wendy's. They could have gone to a movie. They could have
found something to do. Not ask the rest of the group to leave early because they wanted to.
It's spending money, but there's 4 of you, so you could easily split it. Call an Uber.
True. To get back to the beach.
Yeah, to get back to the beach or to go somewhere else or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
It's not like you were stranded at this Wendy's.
Right.
If you were able to call them, you could have called an Uber.
Uber.
And Virginia
True.
Beach is like not like it. There would be Ubers.
Yeah. And there's a lot to do there. But they were tired. I guess they had done it all and they were tired.
But that's not their fault.
No. I mean, they had all agreed on a time.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault they were in the water and didn't have their phones. Mm-hmm. That's understandable when they're at the beach.
Yeah.
I guess the fact that they still didn't get in any hurry and they went and got food before they went and got them.
Yeah,
I guess
they
that could have
called maybe.
Yeah. And we don't know. Maybe they did. They called and said, "Oh, we're sorry. We didn't have our phones on us. We were in the water, but we're going to run by and grab food, and then we'll be on our way to get you."
Yeah. Some comments here. Not the asshole. They chose to sit in a Wendy's for 3 hours like it was a hostage situation instead of, I don't know, walking back to the beach like adults. OP responded to that and said they didn't want to be by the water, which I get, but they were trying to make it my problem like there wasn't 100 other things to do. Why would you plan a beach trip if you didn't even want to be by the water?
Exactly.
Like, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
I think that's like the only comment from OP. Yeah, I think there was just miscommunication.
I don't even know if it was miscommunication. They just decided they wanted to leave early and they were mad because the rest of the group didn't.
Yeah. Someone said, I don't understand why they didn't walk back. Maybe Uber it back to the room. They had 3 hours to decide. He's giving the silent treatment because you didn't change your plans that he was well aware of. Oh, well. OP responded, we had already checked out of the room and they wanted to go back to the car. They could have found us in the water because we didn't move from where we put our stuff. There are some other comments here. They said, OP said, they called me inconsiderate for not going out to check my phone, but I was having too much fun. Okay.
No, he wasn't. They weren't inconsiderate because they had agreed on a time.
Yeah.
They changed the plans. They can't get mad at the other person.
Okay.
That's what it's like when you go on a group trip or vacation.
Yeah.
And sometimes you split up and you do different things, but you have set times where you meet up or maybe set activities that you all do together and then set times where you do separate things. But you can't get mad. You can't say, "Oh, well, I want to leave and go home early."
Yeah. They did explain the hotel. Someone said $1,222 for one night in a hotel. What the fuck? And they said, we ordered 3 rooms with 2 queen beds in each one. Plus, it was on the nicer side. It's called the Founders Inn by Hilton. Very nice if you like the colonial aesthetic. Plus, they do weddings.
So it was 3 rooms?
Yeah. So it wasn't just one room. At least that makes a little more sense. Yeah. And I guess the friend just paid for it all up front. So. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a really funny title. I left him in a Wendy's. Sir, this is a Wendy's. But yeah, I think it was just those friends wanted to change the plans and they knew that they were going to be in the water. It's not their fault. It's not like they abandoned them and didn't tell them like where they went or anything.
Right.
The only thing I would say is that maybe, and we don't know for sure, but maybe you should have called them before you went and got food. Yeah. Although they were out of Wendy's for 3 hours. They could have eaten. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. This is from Am I the Asshole? It's from 1 year ago. And it is, am I the asshole for not letting my sister in the house during a storm because she ignored my boundaries?
When it comes to safety. Yeah.
Maybe you were, but we'll see. Maybe we don't know. Okay. This is an obvious throwaway account as my sister knows my normal Reddit account. Okay. This sub has really helped me understand the importance of asserting one's boundaries, and this is what the situation is about. I'm a 22-year-old female. I had planned for my sister to come over yesterday evening at 6 p.m. for dinner and chills. Chills. She wanted to come at 5 p.m., but I told her not to arrive before 6 p.m. as I am exhausted from work and wanted to have a nap before she arrived. To my surprise, I heard the door knock at 5 p.m. when I was just getting into bed. She said that she had caught the early bus and she was planning on walking in the forest reserve near my house and then come at 6 p.m. It started to thunderstorm, so she ran over to my house so she could have some shelter and asked if she could just stay on the lounge while I slept. I was furious that she didn't show any respect to the boundaries. As far as I am concerned, she should never have taken the early bus, especially when the forecast was for rain. I feel like she did this on purpose because her original request was to arrive at 5 p.m. I told her no, she cannot come in until 6 p.m., which is what we agreed, and closed the door. I took the nap, and when my alarm went off at 6, she wasn't here, and she had left a bunch of angry text messages. She said I was being ridiculous to say I haven't respected her boundaries, and she only came early because it started pouring with rain. She said she was forced to walk to the bus stop in the storm and go home. I told her this is what she got for making a choice to arrive early and that personal boundaries are not there for the taking. I am not responsible for the consequences she suffered. She has now uninvited me from Christmas and says she wants distance in our relationship. So am I the asshole for simply holding firm to my personal boundaries? I think she should never have put me in this position.
Okay, can I say?
Go ahead.
I definitely believe in boundaries, but this sister's an asshole.
Yeah.
The one that wouldn't let her in.
Yeah, I mean,
boundaries.
She's using boundaries as like, I don't know. This is the problem with Reddit is that it's like she heard the term boundaries and it's like, oh yes, I'm gonna set personal boundaries. Boundaries are great to have, but this is the most ridiculous hill to die on.
Yeah. This is your sister. You've invited her over. You like her apparently and want to spend time with her. There's a storm. You can't take a nap in one room and let your sister be in another room.
Also, you were taking a nap. It's not like, I'd even be like, okay, it's one thing if you had like a work Zoom meeting or something that was really important that you like you needed privacy for or whatever, or like a therapy session or something, you know, I would even understand that. I'm like, girl, you don't gotta take a nap right now. Like, I get it, you're tired from work, but like your sister is standing out in the pouring rain. That's
and
she's like, she did it on purpose. It's like, I don't, maybe. Okay. And maybe you're both crazy.
Well, you know,
sorry.
We don't know this sister. Maybe this sister does this kind of thing all the time. And so she's decided to die on this hill finally. But it was a thunderstorm. Pick a time when she's not going to be. I mean, she could have been struck by lightning.
Oh, this is so good. Okay, some comments here. You're the asshole. It's important to have boundaries, but people like you and many Redditors misuse and weaponize therapy language just to be petty. That's exactly what I was trying to say, except this person said it better. You did the wrong thing, so you're dead to me, in quotes. It's nonsense. In any case, your sister didn't do anything wrong. It was pouring with rain and she was stranded outside. And someone else responded, yes, boundaries has become a justification for treating people like crap. Right. Letting your sister stand out in the rain isn't boundaries. It's just being a jerk. Too many people use boundaries as a way to describe their personal list of rules that everyone around them has to follow. Boundaries are for yourself. And someone said, say it louder. And that's so true. Because you can't use boundaries to be like, that would be like me, like with my OCD. Like being like, that's a boundary I have of like all my little issues that I have with my OCD. Like those issues that I have with OCD, whether it be like, you know, having to wash my hands so many times or, you know, sitting somewhere specifically or whatever, that would be like me trying to weaponize those and saying, that's my boundary. You have to bow down to my OCD habits because of that. And that's a boundary for me that I need you to follow. Right. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that I haven't had like OCD things happen where I'm like, I just need you to, you know, go away or whatever. But you can't weaponize your things that you want and then just call it a boundary.
Right. And it sounds like it could even be an OCD thing with her. that I've got to have this private time, this
Yeah.
nap and all, but that's her issue, and to leave the sister out in the rain.
Yeah.
And maybe, okay, she forgot to check the forecast, and she was going to go on a walk.
Someone commented fake, nobody is this cartoonishly petty, and the OP responded, this is not fake. She always does this to me, and I've reached my limit. And they said, in that case, then you're the asshole.
Yeah. Then why'd you invite her over?
So there's an edit here, small edit. OP says, this is my only edit, but since it has been asked, my sister continually arrives early to any plans we make, thereby disregarding my wishes and disrespecting me and the boundaries I set. She even arrived early once when I told her I was going to be with my boyfriend before he flew interstate, and it was our last day together, and she came and interrupted. I am at my limit, which is precisely why I asserted my boundaries this time.
Okay. I get that, but still.
Okay, maybe, but when it comes down to a safety thing, I don't know.
I don't know.
Also, some people just show up early. So maybe you should have told her 7 p.m. and she would have gone there at 6.
That's what I was going to say. We have some friends, family, that are notoriously late, and we always
they're notoriously late. So we tell them a little earlier usually.
So
if they're notoriously early, tell them later.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If it's something we want to really start on time and it's 6 o'clock, we tell them 5:30.
This one is from Am I the Asshole? A little trigger warning. I will say nudist. I mean, not you're not gonna see nudity, but we're talking about it, so I don't know if that's. And it is, am I the asshole for not letting my son go camping with a nudist? Don't know. A week ago, I, female 39, didn't let my son go on a camping trip in which my ex-husband, male 45, invited him to. My son goes fishing with my ex and his friends every few weeks. A select few members of this fishing group were going on a camping trip and invited my ex and our son. I'd usually have no problem with this, but the thing is one of the members, who I guess we'll call John, who was also going to go on this trip, wasn't the boring guy I was told he was. Apparently he's a nudist. My ex tries to defend it by saying John's hobby, quote unquote, is not anything sexual and that our son, 15 male, is mature enough to handle it. But I just thought it was weird. My ex even brings up persistently about how my son doesn't care about John being a nudist and wants to go anyway. I asked for one request, which was that this guy, John, at least wear a kilt or loincloth. My ex remarked how, quote, we can't change this guy for who he is, or something like that. I don't quite remember. My ex seemed to refuse talking to John, and I had no way of contacting John, so in the end, I didn't let my son go. He's been pretty pissed at me because he's always wanted to go camping a second time, especially in a place like Nebraska, forgot to mention. This was basically a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I didn't let my son join in on it because then he'd have to see some weird naked old guy. Am I the asshole? This is weird.
I don't know. I'll just say I don't know because I don't know any nudists, and I don't know.
I don't know any nudists,
and I can't tell you if it's. I understand a mother being concerned with her 15-year-old son.
Yeah, it's the fact that they're a minor.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And let's be honest, would it be? I feel like it would. Would the dad, the ex-husband, would the dad have let his 15-year-old daughter go with a nudist? Because if not, then you shouldn't let your 15-year-old son go with a nudist. Yeah. It doesn't matter of gender.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I can't blame the mom because he is a minor.
And she doesn't know this John guy. Like
Right.
the ex is like, no, it's just a hobby. He just likes to be nude, whatever. I'm like, even around minors?
That's the thing. I think the dad should say.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal, actually.
Probably is. And I think as the dad should say, hey, My son's a
Yeah.
minor. You're going to keep your clothes on.
Yeah. Like, okay, I have hobbies. I don't have to do them 24/7 around everyone.
Right.
Like, I love D&D. When I hang out with my friends that don't want to play D&D, then I don't force D&D on them.
Right.
If you're a nudist
Go
and
camping
that's
with
your
other
hobby,
nudists.
yeah. Also, were they going to a park that allows nudity?
That's the thing.
Because public nudity is not legal.
It's not.
So that right there.
Yeah.
Then you're doing illegal activity and you're letting your son be a
No,
part of that
I think the
illegal
mother
activity.
was right to do what, to not allow it.
Yeah, something's weird. Like,
yeah, something's off.
that's fine that that's your hobby, but I don't think, I mean, as a mom, I'd be like, well, I don't know this man well enough. I don't know what his intentions are. And like I said, that would be regardless of gender for the nudist or for my child.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I guess, well, the dad's like, well, our kid says he's fine with it, but it's like, is he, or is he just wanting to go on this camping trip? So,
Right.
and when it comes to like, that's the whole thing of why, like, consent with minors is still not consent, because a minor doesn't quite understand.
Right. And unless they're going to someplace, like you said, really remote.
Yeah. That's
there's
weird.
not a park or anywhere else that would not be.
Yeah. And
that
like,
wouldn't be allowed.
Again, I don't know any nudists. I don't know much about it, and sure, that's fine that, like, if it's not sexual at all, okay, sure. Everyone has a body, whatever. But I just think it's weird. The fact, if it was all consenting adults and they didn't care that their friend was naked the whole time on the camping trip, fine. But when you involve a kid, I just
when
think
you're bringing your minor son, then he needs
and
to
again,
either,
I think that might be illegal.
Yeah. I think he needs to.
Yeah.
I think the dad needs to watch out for the son better. Like,
yeah.
Either ask the friend not to do it or take your kid on a camping trip without the nudist friend.
Yeah.
You know, the two of them could go on a camping trip together.
So,
the son and father.
Weirdly enough, a lot of people said you're the asshole.
Really?
So, I mean, like I said, I don't know any news. One guy said,
it's the mother instinct in me.
yeah,
I'm
someone
sorry.
said, yep, you're the asshole. I'm not a nudist myself, but I have no issue with my kids seeing naked bodies of all types. It's not sexual or inappropriate in any way. I mean, okay, but that's your decision as a parent of your children.
Yeah.
And if I don't know the thing is I don't know the person well enough.
Right.
If I knew the person, I was like, yeah, they're a chill nudist.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And evidently that's what the deal is with the dad.
Yeah.
But this mom doesn't know. And
another person said, you're the asshole. At 15, I was playing sports, going to swimming pools and other activities where it was perfectly normal to be in a locker room with naked males of all ages. Your son is 15. He knows what other guys look like. Besides that, why should you have a say and not his father or even your son? If it doesn't bother your son, then leave it alone.
I don't know. I don't know either. I would feel weird about it, but
someone said it's one thing if it's a woman who is a nudist and your son was asked to go, but it's a guy. Based on your logic, I shouldn't have been a Marine since I was going to have to shower with 40 naked guys and potentially see them.
Yeah, but you're an adult.
You're an adult when you're a Marine.
That's exactly right.
And also, it would not matter to me, like I said, the gender or sex of the person.
No.
I don't know. If I don't know that person well enough, then I just wouldn't want them. Also, that sounds so dangerous to go camping naked. I'm sorry.
Well, and as far as the locker room, okay, I know in sports you're in locker rooms with.
But most of the time you're in locker rooms with people your own age.
That's the thing.
And I know they said, well, if they go to the gym or whatever, they might. Okay. But, like, that's an environment that you know.
You know what, though? I don't think most gyms, minors aren't allowed without
an adult present.
An adult.
Yeah, maybe so.
Most of the time.
Someone said you're a pedophile mom since you think everyone else is. I don't think that's fair to say.
I don't think that's fair either.
I think it's because she doesn't know this person and she's sending her kid off to go camp with them.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, if they were all adults, it'd be one thing. I mean, it's the same reason you don't like send your kids to a sleepover unless you know their parents.
Right.
Like, it's...
Yeah, you and I were talking about that the other day. It
might not have even been the fact that he was a nudist. It might have been the fact that when she found out that all these other guys were going, I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot there. And I know he's with his dad, but it doesn't sound like to me she believes that the dad has very good
right. I mean,
instincts. I don't know.
They are divorced, so she may not have a lot of faith in his instincts or his...
Yeah.
I don't know. I was always so picky about who you slept over with and...
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
And here I'm one to talk because people, there are people, we had friends that thought badly of your dad and I because we let you tour at 14 and 15 years old, but we went with you.
Yeah. And I guess you could say, well, the dad's with him. I don't know. I would like to know the legality of it because someone on here said, well, if it was legal, would it be different? And I still don't know if it would be. To me, it's because I don't know the person.
Yeah. Agreed.
But like I said, I don't have any friends who are nudists, so I don't know. I don't know the culture.
I don't either. And I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like mother's instinct.
I don't know. And maybe I'm a prude, but I'm like, I don't feel the need to be naked in the woods where mosquitoes can bite any part of my body. That just doesn't sound like a fun time to me at all.
I just don't think that an adult, period, should want to be nude around a minor.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe that's... I don't know. Maybe and that's me being an alarmist or something.
Maybe so. But
I really don't know with this one.
But it's not like... I don't know.
I don't think the mom is an asshole, though. To sum it up, I don't think the mom is an asshole for saying no. And different people have different views and thoughts on nudity with their own children. Whether, some... And that's fine. You can decide that as a family. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, and I'm not saying it even it's not the fact that it's like, oh, because he's naked is automatically sexual. It's just I don't know this person well enough. And what if he is nudist because of it being sexual? Yeah. And you don't know him well enough. Yeah. That's my issue with it. Anyway, that's a tough one.
I'd like to know the thoughts from our viewers.
Yeah.
On this one. I really would.
Are any of you nudists? Tell us the thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be like, I'm a very open-minded person. If that's your thing, cool. Again, it goes back to what I said, though, about the hobby thing. I wouldn't, if I was a nudist, and maybe this is not how it works with nudists, but I wouldn't want to be the only one nude. Yeah. I don't like to be the only one in a room and realize that I didn't dress up enough or something. So I can't imagine being the only one naked in a room. That's like a nightmare to me. So it goes back to how they're like, well, it's just his hobby. I'm like, well, then do that hobby with people that enjoy your hobby. Yeah. I don't know. I don't force my hobbies onto my friends that don't like those hobbies. I don't know. It's just weird.
Do that hobby at home.
Yeah.
With yourself. I get it. Maybe, I guess I could understand if you're a nudist, there'd be something about being nude in the outdoors.
Well, then go camping with your nude friends.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not good at this. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to start that up.
No,
again.
I just want to know. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I'm at a loss. Okay. Here we go. Okay. This is from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for letting our kid play on an iPad with sound at an outdoor dining? Probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My wife, our 4-year-old daughter, and my wife's friends were dining at an outdoor restaurant. Our daughter kept herself entertained by playing a game on her iPad that was making sounds. Note, an iPad has a max volume that is easily drowned out in an outdoor setting. I just want to point out that's not necessarily true because we had the other story where the guy was listening to Mr. Beast and she could hear it from 2 stories away. So, where's the logic there, sir? Was she listening to Mr. Beast? Okay, anyway. A middle-aged lady at a neighboring table asked them to turn the volume down. My wife didn't apologize, but complied with the request despite our daughter's protests that she couldn't hear her game. It was outdoors, other people were loud, and it was located along a busy road where the traffic was loud as well. Then the ladies' party hypocritically proceeded to get rowdy and loud after requesting them to be quiet. It was outdoor dining after all. My wife and her friend were clearly annoyed but decided to just ignore and avoid a scene. Was my wife the asshole for letting our kid make sound at an outdoor dining area, or was the lady too entitled and hypocritical? I think you're the asshole. Well, you're not the asshole. I guess your wife is. You weren't there.
Yeah. Well, normally I would agree, but I don't know. The fact that they're being loud and all, what's the difference, you know? What if you leaned over to them and said, hey, y'all are being too loud?
I don't know. There's just something about, though, someone listening to something on an
The
electronic
electronics,
device
yeah.
without headphones. There's something, like, I've been in spaces where, like, there were people being loud and all, but then someone's, like, listening to music on their phone or playing a game. Like, that's why, like, on airplanes, they're like, you gotta put on headphones or turn the sound off. Because it's just, there's something grating about it. I don't know.
Easy solution. Get your kid
Get
earphones.
your child headphones.
Or headphones.
I don't know. It also, just some of the language here, like,
So, did she let her turn it back up after the ladies' group got loud?
I don't think so.
Oh. So I guess the husband's just asking, was she an asshole because she was allowing it at first?
Yeah, just some of the language.
Because she made her turn it down after someone complained.
Yeah. And it says the language here. My wife didn't apologize, but complied with the request despite our daughter's protest that she couldn't hear her game. I'm like, I don't know. It would be embarrassing to me. I'd be like, I would want to teach my child, like, hey, honey, you need to play a game that's quieter. We're in public.
Right.
So I don't know. Some of the language here just sounds a little bit entitled to me.
Yeah.
There is an edit here. Edit. A lot of the replies seem to assume that the iPad was at max setting. It was not. I was just trying to illustrate that an iPad outdoors isn't that loud. But I get that some of you don't agree. That's fine. Next time we will make sure to have the headphones at all times. Our kid does have headphones. They just didn't have it at a particular time for some reason. Also, a few have commented that we were the asshole for the following reasons: for daring to go out with a child during a pandemic, and 2, that we dare allow our kid to use an iPad. I acknowledge and hear you. This was from 4 years ago, so it was during like the pandemic, which is probably why it was outdoor seating. Because everything was outdoor seating back then. On one hand, I'm like, oh, your kid's an iPad kid. But I get it. Sometimes you gotta, distract the kid.
Yeah.
Give him an iPad. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if the other group became rowdy on purpose. Or...
Could be. Or it could be that the other group, the woman in particular that asked, was just because I've seen this, that it's just like she was annoyed that there was a child there, period.
Yeah. And that's what it kind of sounds like in
And
the
that's-
comments. A lot of people are like, if your child can't behave at a restaurant, don't take them. My number one pet peeve is a child at a restaurant. Like, and the OP is responding like, okay, well, you need to like calm down. Like,
Really?
it's not right for you to be like, oh, you shouldn't have had your child at a restaurant. Like,
No.
if you want that, then go to a bar where there's not going to be children. If you don't want to
Yeah.
see children.
I guess the thing, we don't know what kind of place or what, but they
Yeah.
allowed the child in.
Yeah. Someone said, what's wrong with a coloring book and crayons? Kids that young don't need a digital babysitter. Okay.
That's just.
But, like, we're getting nitpicky here.
Yeah.
Someone said at an outdoor restaurant, a reasonable person would expect to hear the sounds of nearby conversation and road noise, not a bunch of electronic noise. You are the asshole. Okay. Like, I can see that maybe.
I don't think she's an asshole since she did turn it down and comply after they asked. And they agreed. The dad did say that from now on they will have the headphones.
Yeah.
I don't think they were purposely just. I don't know. You said that maybe from the language they were entitled.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel
I
like
don't know now that I'm reading some of the comments and all.
I don't know that.
Like, someone said you're the asshole, and they said a bunch of stuff, but then they said there's a time and place, and as a parent, you need to show some class and learn to judge it. If it were a restaurant, cafe, and a zoo or theme park during the day with lots of kids, then maybe it would be okay. Otherwise, it's not. And OP responded, that's funny because before we had kids, we've put up with so many of these types of scenarios with strangers' kids being around. We never complained or made a stink face. If we wanted peace and quiet on a night out, we go to a more upscale restaurant and made sure to stay at a more upscale hotel if we were traveling. Downside is we have to pay more for the better experience. I guess my point is we've come to expect that this was the norm out of being too polite, but I guess that wasn't the norm and we were wrong.
I don't know. I feel like they're not the asshole. When you can learn from your mistake, then I don't think you're an asshole. I don't think they were just.
Yeah, I think they learned from it, and
I think parents get a bad rap with kids in public. People like expect them to be perfect or not to cry, or just like people complain about a crying baby on an airplane. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite stories is where this woman has a crying baby on the airplane. Instead of complaining, the woman next to her helped her with the baby, you know?
Yeah.
Babies are going to cry.
Yeah. And I get it.
You can't always...
and if you're child free, if you don't want kids, whatever, that's fine. But then like he said, like, take vacations that are, no children. Like, live in a no children apartment complex. Like, go to upscale restaurants. Like, I don't know. It's not fair to be like, oh, children shouldn't exist anywhere near me.
That's like in the 50s, when that's saying they should be seen and not heard.
That was a saying about children in the 50s?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, children are everywhere. It's just like dogs are everywhere. Like,
I feel so bad for a parent when they have a kid that throws a fit in the store, because I'm just like, because kids, they're going to do that. Mm-hmm. You rarely did, but you had your moments.
I remember one time y'all took me out of a restaurant because I got upset that I didn't get to sit by someone I wanted to sit by.
Yeah.
One of my cousins.
Yeah. And we took you out because you were throwing a fit. But.
Okay. Let's see. Do you want to get a little spooky?
Sure.
Want to get a little spooky with it, guys? Okay, this is from Today I Fucked Up. And it is, today I fucked up by going camping in the woods alone, and I'm still scared as I write this. Dun, dun, dun.
Don't go down in the woods alone. Dun, 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 dun.
Into the woods. Da, 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 da.
Don't go in the woods alone. Who wants to go camping alone in the woods?
Yeah, that's kind of silly. But some people do.
I know.
I have friends that they're like, I want to go backpacking and hiking alone. And I'm like, no, thank you. I just think it's a safety thing. If you fall and hurt yourself, then unless you have like a satellite phone or something, there's not a surefire way that someone can get to you. Okay. I decided it would be a great idea to go camping in the woods alone. Just me, my tent, and a weekend of solitude to clear my head. No distractions, no noise, just nature. I thought it sounded peaceful. It was not. Everything was fine at first. I found a spot, pitched my tent after struggling for way too long with the stupid poles, and even got a fire going, which I was way too proud of. By the time the sun started setting, I was feeling pretty good about myself. I had some snacks, a little folding chair, and a nice fire to keep me warm. Then night fell. Oh my God, I was not ready for how dark it gets in the woods. I don't think this person has ever been camping before, period. Like, I thought my eyes would adjust, but nope. Every sound, the wind, the wind, the leaves, some animal far off, sounded like it was coming straight for me. I kept telling myself, you're fine. This is just what nature sounds like. But I was holding my flashlight like a sword just in case. Around midnight, I started hearing rustling that sounded way too close to my tent. It wasn't just the wind. This was something moving. My heart was racing, but I convinced myself it was probably a raccoon or something. I stayed still, trying not to make any noise, but the sound just kept getting louder. And then, I swear, I heard what sounded like footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps circling my tent. At this point, I'm losing it. I'm holding my pocket knife in one hand, shaking so bad I'm probably useless if anything happens. I tried to turn off my flashlight so whoever or whatever it was wouldn't see me, but I was too scared to even reach for the button. The footsteps stopped, and there was silence for a few minutes. I was about to convince myself I imagined it when something tapped on the outside of my tent. I have never been so close to passing out in my life. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I just sat there clutching my knife, waiting to die. Eventually, I heard the footsteps fade into the distance, and I forced myself to peek outside. I couldn't see anything, but I didn't feel safe staying there, so I packed up as fast as I could and booked it back to my car. It was the longest walk of my life, and I was 100% convinced something was following me the whole time. I drove home in the middle of the night, shaking the entire way. I still don't know what or who was out there, but I'm never doing this again, ever.
Good.
Yeah, spooky. I love a good campfire story. What do you think it was?
I know that
it could have been a tree.
Well, if you are a camper, I mean, we used to camp a lot.
Yeah, we did.
You do hear a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be an animal. The fact that she thought it was footsteps. I know when you're out there alone and it's dark, your imagination can go wild too.
One time when we were on tour, we had to camp. And it was up in North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Which North Carolina, it was in the place we stayed was someone's home, but we camped in their yard. Like they lived up in the mountains. But the mountains, I later find out, I did not know anything about these mountains until later. These mountains were the ones that they talk about now. It was like the Blue Ridge Mountains or whatever. What are the mountains? Maybe it wasn't the Blue Ridge ones.
I don't remember.
But the ones with all the cryptids in it that everyone talks about, all the creepy cryptids and stuff. It was in the same area. It was near like Asheville, North Carolina, which people have been known to see spooky stuff. I didn't know any of that then, but we were camping and there were probably like 4 tents up. So it's not like we were like really that alone, but we were like up in the mountains and it was very dark. A couple of guys were sleeping in a van. I was sleeping in a tent with you and Dad, I believe. Yeah. And then some other people were sleeping in other tents. And in the middle
there was a house.
Yeah, there was a house, but it was like up the hill.
Right. It was not that close. We were sleeping out in a open area.
I will still never forget it. It sent chills down my spine. There was just all this. It turns out my dad knew what it was because my dad has camped a lot and went hunting a lot as when he was younger and all. And it turns out it was like a bunch of coyotes. But if you've never heard coyotes in the deep of night, just everything silent, and then a whole bunch of coyotes come up and they're like, you know, like yapping and stuff. It's the eeriest thing. I thought we were gonna get like sacrificed or something. Like I didn't know what it was.
Well, I've been out where I've heard. I mean, we've heard coyotes from our house before.
Yeah, because we live
but
like
there
kind of near
were
a wooded
so
area.
many.
Yeah, it was like
That was the thing. I'd never
Yeah.
heard anything like that before. There were so
there was probably
many of them.
hundreds.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. It was wild.
So I mean, your imagination plays tricks on you. You might hear footsteps. It could have been like a raccoon walking, or a deer, or a coyote, or something. That could have been the footsteps.
Or it could have been a person.
Or it could have been a person. And you were at the start of a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were tapping on your tent, though. Why would a human
Yeah.
tap on your tent?
If they were just trying to scare them.
Why?
Or maybe they thought it was someone else.
You they thought it was someone else?
Well, maybe
Like,
they
I
were
thought you my
camping
friend.
in this area with some other people, and they thought that was someone they
It was
knew.
like 3 a.m.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. There was also another time we went camping where we stumbled into a buzzard nest.
Oh.
That was one of the scariest things ever. And I was like 5.
Yeah.
We were walking on this trail. We kind of go off the beaten path into this clearing. It's like an old riverbed that's dried up. And you see all of like the floor. It started crunching under our feet. And I was like, what is that? And we looked down. It was like the start of a horror film for sure.
It was.
And we looked down, like picture 5-year-old Jackie, like, I see dead people. And yeah, like we looked down and there were like bones everywhere, and like fish bones and other animal bones. And
it was
like,
kind of dark because the tree
shaded
the
it.
tree covering was real thick.
And so we realized it was all bones, and we were like, that's weird. And we look up, and there's just hundreds, and this is not an exaggeration, hundreds of buzzards. Which, if you don't know what a buzzard is, it's like the. It's
It
like
may
a
not
vulture.
have been hundreds, but
There were hundreds.
I don't remember it that well, but there were a lot.
Dad said there were hundreds. But well, there were at least 100.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe so.
But if you don't know what a buzzard is, it's basically like a vulture.
Yeah.
Like it's a bird that eats other like dead things. And they were just all like staring at us.
It was creepy.
And it was so silent. And it was like we just backed
And
out.
Dave, who is very used to being in the outdoors and like Jackie said, has hunted and camped, he was even kind of like, this is creepy.
Like, back away slowly. So this is a spooky tale. I like it. Someone said, what in the not deer hell did I just read? I think that's a subreddit called Not Deer, maybe.
Oh.
Which is like spooky stuff like that, where it's like it wasn't a deer. I don't see any comments from the OP or anything, like clarifying anything. It's just a good spooky story. And I don't know, maybe it wasn't even a real story, but it was good. It's a good story. I enjoyed it.
Just out of curiosity, I'd like to know the age and gender
Yeah, they didn't say.
of this person.
Their profile picture is Squidward, so I don't know if that helps us. No, but
I want to ask our listeners, would you go camping alone?
I wouldn't, just because I would totally I would injure myself and not be able to call for help.
Well, I don't think it's safe for male or female. I would not go
Yeah.
camping alone. But I do know people that have done that.
Yeah. I mean, that's great if you want to do that. Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
From the spooky story. It is, am I the asshole for grounding my daughter by not bonding with me on gardening? So, I, 47 female, live with my husband and my youngest daughter, 15 female. My oldest daughter, 20 female, no longer lives with us, and I feel a little bit lonely since she used to be my partner. We did everything together. We liked the same things, and we were best friends. I love my youngest daughter equally. I don't have a favorite child, but it has always been difficult for me to bond with her because we're too different. My youngest daughter clearly prefers my husband, given that just like my oldest daughter, they are best friends. They do everything together, they like the same things, and they often bond over games, music, and anime. I've tried to bond more deeply with my daughter, but I don't understand her tastes, and when we're alone, we hardly ever have anything to talk about. My husband doesn't see it as a problem, and he often says each parent with its own daughter, but it doesn't seem right to me. I recently decided to build a garden and asked my daughter to help me, as I often bonded with her sister on gardening. She said no right away, but I forced her anyway. I thought it would be a beautiful afternoon, laughing and chatting, but it wasn't. She complained all the time that the dirt was gross, that the sun was going to burn her, and every time I turned around, I saw her using her phone. At one point, I got bored with her attitude, and I said, if you dislike this so much, go and leave your mother alone. She went back into the house. I thought she would come out in a few minutes. She would apologize and we would start over, like in the movies. Okay. But an hour passed and nothing. I walked into the house and saw her in her room playing on her computer. I got mad and grounded her without games for a week. She wasn't even sorry she left me alone, and she called it a wasted afternoon, which hurt me. My husband defended her by saying that if I really knew her, I would know that she doesn't like outdoor activities and that I shouldn't try to bond by doing something she likes instead of forcing something that I like on her. He also accused me of trying to turn her into a version of herself, a version of her sister, and of trying to take his daughter away from him. Now they're both against me and are giving me the silent treatment. So am I the asshole?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, she is. I mean, I get it, but you can't force it. If you really want to bond with her, you try something that she likes.
I feel like you guys need to communicate.
Yeah.
And like ask each other, like, what do you like? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, obviously she doesn't like outdoor activities.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out and work in the yard with you.
Yeah.
Maybe start easy, like with a movie or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I get that it sucks that this daughter is closer with your husband and you miss your other daughter.
Yeah.
But it isn't right to try and turn her into like a version of her. And I think it's kind of one of those things where you see a lot in relationships. You grounded her because she didn't come back out and apologize. You wanted her to read your mind.
Yeah.
You told her to go leave you alone.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you didn't want that. You didn't actually want that, which happens a lot in relationships where it's like, well, you should have known that I didn't mean that. And it's like, well, you said it, so it's not right for you to now say, well, you should have known what I meant when I said that. Some comments here. Yes, you're the asshole. Can you listen to yourself? She said no right away, but I forced her. I said, if you dislike this so much, go leave your mother alone. I got mad and grounded her. She wasn't even sorry she left me alone. So you ask her to do something she won't like. She declines. You force her and somehow think that it'll be a good time knowing that you forced her. Then when it's not, you snap at her, then ground her for doing exactly what you said to do, and you think she should be sorry. Everything you did here is wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's sad is that she doesn't see it. I feel like she doesn't see it, or she wouldn't be writing into Reddit because she's wanting people to back her up. I feel like, and I'm like, you don't see your. I understand in a fit of anger and that sort of thing that she did what she did, but to not realize what she did, and then she should be apologizing and saying, "I'm sorry. I just wanted you to like what I like," but she doesn't seem to. Be glad that she likes to spend time with her dad and they have what they have in common. That's a good thing. And if you want to spend more time with her, then you don't have to do and like the things that she likes any more than she has to do the things you like. But you could be interested in it as far as, you know, this isn't my kind of thing, but I want to see what it is that you what is it that you like about anime? I want
That's
to.
the
I want to watch
thing,
one with
yeah.
you and learn about it a little bit.
Yeah.
How old did she say your daughter was?
15.
Yeah.
I mean, 15's a tough time anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, to make her go outside and
Yeah.
garden with you,
Yeah.
maybe not the best
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you just need to communicate better and not,
Yeah.
don't ever, like, assume someone to, like, read your mind either.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a trigger warning of this for bugs and infestation.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I know there are people that.
Okay, this is from 2 years ago. From today, I fucked up. It's a long one, so settle in. Today, I fucked up by parking my car in the grass overnight while camping. Almost 2 weeks to the day, and the resulting nightmare from my unfortunate parking job in the grass is finally over. I hope. I should first mention, if you have a significant fear of creepy crawly things like I do, you may not like reading this. If you fear creepy crawly things and also happen to like torturing yourself, read on. Also, I like to ramble a bit, so apologies for the longish read. It began like this. 2 weeks ago, I was at the last minute invited to join my girlfriend and her family on a camping trip at a lakeside RV campground for a night. Yeah. As the drive to meet them, there was less than an hour, and I had nothing important planned for the weekend. I decided to accept, and a fun trip followed. While I didn't know it at the time, the first sign of what was to come appeared as the sun went down. Crawling over the counter and into the sink of their RV, a line of small, black, quick-moving ants with long antennae after the bits of food washed down the drain from dinner. Oh, they're a storyteller. After wiping, rinsing them all away, and tapping the holes they were coming through, the ant problem seemed to be solved. The next morning, while packing my stuff up after eating breakfast, we noticed ants had returned to their feasting place in the sink. It was at this time I jokingly said, after looking to make sure I had packed all my items, something along the lines of, "Don't worry, I'll take the ants with me too." Man, I wish I never opened my mouth, because now is where the real fun begins. After finishing up at the campsite and saying goodbyes, I threw my stuff in the passenger seat of my car and headed off back home. Not 3 minutes before reaching my apartment, I get a faint feeling on my legs of crawling and look down, and ants. And not just 10 or 20. I look down to see hundreds and hundreds of little black ants crawling on the floorboards, up the side of my door, some on the pedals, and a bunch on my shoes and lower legs. If you've ever thrown a rock or poked a stick into an anthill when you were young, you'll know the sight I'm talking about. I somehow kept it together enough to make it back to the parking lot of my apartment, and I quickly jump out while violently shaking the ants off as best as I could, and just stand there with my driver door open, staring at the horror movie that's now swarming inside my car. At this point, it's much too dangerous to drive anywhere, so all I could do was take a shower and hope by that tomorrow morning they would be gone. The next morning, I walk out to my car to check on the situation, and what looked to be thousands of ants had all spread out around the interior of my car and had died due to the heat. Naively, I thought this would be the end of it. Surely that's all of the dead, so I vacuumed my entire car and went back home. 3 days later, and I've driven to class a few times and to the store and keep seeing 1 or 2 ants max per trip. The last survivors, I thought. Surely all will be dead any day now. Nope. After a few days after that, I open my passenger door for the first time since the trip, and ants. Again, I see maybe 50 crawling in the door frame and then lift the floor mat, and there is an entire nest now built underneath, swarming with anger now that their evil deed has been exposed. At this point, I had bought some ant spray just in case, and so I drenched the hive in the stuff, which worked, killing them all pretty much instantly. To the car wash and vacuum we go once again. You may think this was now finally the end of the story. It wasn't. From then until now, a week later, and 2 weeks after the camping trip, I have had the fun experience of finding 3 new nesting places the ants had built. 1 more inside under a floor mat in the back, 1 in my front fender of all places, and 1 in the speaker of my driver's side door, all swarming the minute I discovered them. It's been 2 days since I discovered a new nest, and there finally seems to be no ants in sight. After 4 car washes, 4 thorough vacuum sessions, and countless bites on my ankles and legs, I may finally be able to drive in peace, though the stench of ant spray still lingers heavily in my car. Don't be like me. If you go camping, don't park in the grass.
Oh,
Yikes.
my word. I've camped a lot, and we parked in grass and.
Now I'm scared to park in the grass.
Oh my gosh. Overnight?
I'd like to know where this is at.
I would too. I would love to know where this is at.
Mm-hmm.
He must have really disturbed some big
Someone
ant.
said, burn the car. That's the only way to win. And OP said, very tempting at this point.
Oh my gosh. What a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how he got that many ants in the car and
that quickly. He must have parked like on a giant ant bed or something, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said I park my car on grass every night for over a decade and I've never seen an ant inside any of my vehicles. They said the ants must have really not liked me in particular, showing friends the videos of the nests I found and they say the same thing as you. Wild situation.
That is wild. I'd like to know. I'd go back. I'd have to almost go back to that camping site. Was this like in a park?
I don't know.
Was it an RV park? Because he said his girlfriend's family was in an RV.
Yeah. But
or
even
was
in
this
the RV,
just
there
some
were a few
place
ants,
they?
too.
I know, but so wherever they parked, they really disturbed an area where there were a bunch of these ants.
Someone said, I have some experience working as an archaeologist, and let me tell you, archaeologists are familiar with ants. Very, very familiar. When you're digging down, it is fairly common to hit an ant nest, and the only thing you can do is just try to ignore it and keep digging. We spray it with ant spray, of course, but the nests are so deep and wide, the new ants just keep pouring out. Among archaeologists, you are considered something of a wuss if you are overly bothered by hundreds of ants crawling around in your clothes. And the OP said, now that's super fascinating. Maybe the giant ant scene in that terrible Indiana Jones with the Aliens movie was at least a little more accurate than us non-archaeologists realized. Another person said, where did this happen? State, region.
Right.
I sleep out of my car most of the time, and I got to know where I should be particularly cautious of grass and ants. This sounds like a nightmare. And the OP said the campground was at a medium-sized lake in the Carolinas. I can't even imagine having to deal with something like this while sleeping out of the car at the same time. So I hope you never have this happen.
Yeah, because we've done a lot of tent camping.
Yeah.
David's dad used to go camping with us when we were first married, and he loved to go camping, and he
slept outside,
He
right?
Always slept outside. He liked to sleep outside. He wouldn't
Under
sleep
the
in a
stars,
tent.
Yeah.
He slept. He didn't sleep on the ground.
Yeah.
He slept on cots and stuff, but
the OP also said Google definitely agrees. When the situation first happened, I read a bit about it and would also get the don't park under a tree for a while and the ants will generally leave as they are only searching for food. What is less common, it seems, is for an entire ant colony to permanently move in and without helping with gas money either. The campground was paid, but I'm not actually too sure about the specifics of the place as I was just tagging along for the night.
right. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Crazy.
Crazy.
No, thank
Yeah.
you. Get out of here with that crap. Okay.
That's how we spread, though. Like,
I did a report, okay? In 5th grade, I did a report on fire ants because fire ants are not native to, and I hope this is all correct because my friend Zach is going to call me out because he knows everything about animals and bugs. But I did a report in 5th grade that fire ants are not native to North America, to any of the Americas, I don't think. And they came over on a ship. I don't remember what ship. I think from Spain is where it was from. And there was, they had brought a bunch of sand over in this ship for some reason. I don't remember why.
the sand is like, they put it in the bottom of the ship like a, is ballast the right word? I don't know.
Maybe something like that. Yeah.
It's like it has something to do with how,
or something.
to balance.
I don't remember. I was so proud of this report. It was like a 6-page report, and I did so much research on it. But basically, the sand they had put in the ship, they ended up, when they got here, it was at I think where fire ants first came in were at the Gulf of Mexico, here in Texas.
Oh, was it?
I think so. And but I could be wrong. I don't remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, any of you bug people out there. Bug enthusiasts. But they like dumped the sand for some reason, and in that sand there were a lot of like fire ant nests, and it just spread.
Yeah, that's how we got fire ants. Yeah.
So these didn't seem to be fire ants though. He was saying they were black. So
yeah,
I don't know.
well, that's too how things like when we used to do a lot of fishing and boating. There's a lot of lakes around in Texas that had a problem with a certain kind of vegetation.
Yeah.
And if you brought it, you trailer your boat.
Well, wasn't there too like a whole thing with like mussels and stuff?
There might have been, but
Like,
I remember it was a vegetation that, and if you got it on your boat, and then we trailered our boat, and then we put it in a lake here.
Or a different lake. I mean.
Then that vegetation spread because it's a vegetation that just takes over the lake, and so they were warning people, to make sure and clean off your boats and not try not to spread the.
Yeah. Yikes. Okay, moving on. You still want to go outside after this, Mom?
Sure.
I'm not going outside ever again.
No.
I'm just kidding. This is from Am I the Asshole? The user has been deleted now, so I don't know if they deleted their own account or what. Am I the asshole for not paying more attention to kids on a camping trip? Everyone is saying it's my fault my nephew got hurt. Dun, dun, dun. We went on a camping trip with my brother and sister's families. The campsite is a short walk away from a lake with a little beach area. Earlier in the day, while everyone else was getting ready and eating breakfast, I took a towel and found a sunny place to lay down. A little while later, I heard one of my nephews say, "Uncle Sam," that's my name, "we're going swimming." I was kind of half asleep with my eyes closed and just said okay. A little while later, I hear another nephew crying. They had all been climbing on the rocks, which they were told yesterday not to do, and he had slipped on one of the rocks and split his jaw open. I carried him up to the camp so the grown-ups could take care of it. They started demanding to know what happened. I told them the kids were climbing on the rocks. They got mad at me for not stopping them. I told them I didn't notice them climbing on the rocks because my eyes were closed. Then they get even more mad and start yelling at me for not sitting up and watching them once I knew they were there. They think it's enough that the kids told me that they were swimming, and if there's no adults around, that I'm automatically in charge of watching them. I think they should have actually asked me to watch them and not just expected me to. Also, I didn't even know there weren't any adults with them because I had my eyes closed. They say that doesn't matter and I need to pay attention when kids are around. Am I the asshole?
Personally, I don't think so.
Where were the parents?
Exactly. It was their response. I know probably what they were thinking. They were probably thinking, yeah, it's okay for y'all to go down there because your uncle's down there.
But then they should have picked up the phone and been like, "Hey, what are you doing down there?"
Or walk down there with them just to make sure that he was there.
Because it doesn't say how young these kids are.
And say, do you mind watching them if we leave them, or do one of us need to stay with them? I mean, again, just communication.
Yeah.
That was just parents being like, oh, he's down there, it's okay. And we've all done that.
Yeah.
But so don't get mad at the uncle. Your kids were told not to climb on the rocks. They climbed on the rocks. They got hurt. Lesson learned.
I mean, they are kids, and obviously they're probably going to do things that they were told not to do because they were alone. So they were like, we're going to climb on these rocks anyways. And maybe you should have set up and been like, hey, is your mom with you? Like, where's your dad? And just checked. But in the end, it's not really his responsibility.
Yeah, no.
It's kind of a gray area. Like,
how
maybe
old
you
is
should
his
have
uncle?
checked. I don't know. It doesn't, there's no ages.
Nah, it's not the uncle's fault. He wasn't told he was supposed to be watching them.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, where were you guys?
Yeah.
Y'all sent him down there, and I don't know.
You should have walked down there with him at least and made sure that he was willing to watch him.
Because, I mean, it is dangerous for little kids to go swimming by themselves and everything else.
Yeah.
So,
But ultimately, you're the parents. You're responsible. You can't blame someone else.
Some comments. Not the asshole. When I was young, we went on vacation with several groups of family members to a lake. The rule was for us kids was no swimming without an adult. There were some 16-year-olds at the time with us, and they could watch us. The key was they had to agree. We had to accept the no and wait for one of our parents. We couldn't go down, say hi, and jump in.
Good rule.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, a lot of people are like, yeah, that's how it was when we were kids. Like, you know, you just had to ask or whatever. Someone said, if you want someone else to watch your kids, ask them first. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Someone said, how many of y'all want to bet that OP was probably strong-armed into this family trip solely for the reason that the parents were assuming he'd be the one they could hawk their free childcare onto?
Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, also, it could have happened even if he was watching them.
Right.
I mean, I know they weren't supposed to be on the rocks, but, I mean, they're kids.
Did he know they weren't supposed to be on the rocks?
He said they were told yesterday they weren't supposed to be on the rocks.
Okay, so he knew.
But I don't know if he knew they were on the rocks.
Right, that's the thing. He wasn't paying enough attention.
Not the asshole. Did their parents even know they left the campsite, or did they just expect you to watch them because they showed up in your vicinity?
Yeah.
OP said, yes, apparently they told them to tell me they were going swimming. Someone said, did any of the adults' parents let you know or ask you to babysit or look after the children? And he said no.
Yeah.
He said the parents were back at the campsite cleaning up and getting other stuff ready. Someone said, info, how old are you? OP responded 15. Then no, you're not the asshole. No.
Oh my gosh.
You're a 15-year-old kid.
Oh my gosh.
And you were supposed to watch. How many of your nephews were over there? Like at least 3, I think.
Unless at the beginning of the trip, it was all laid out and they said, okay, we need everybody to help keep an eye on the kids. If you're down on the beach and they're swimming, please keep an eye on them.
But it sounds like to me they were like, we're just gonna.
No, you don't expect a 15-year-old. I thought this uncle was an adult.
Yeah, he's 15.
No.
And he said that the parents told the kids to tell him they were going swimming. So I guess the parents were like, yeah, just tell him you're going swimming. He'll watch you. You know, like that's not right.
A 15-year-old didn't necessarily know they needed to be watched.
Yeah. And a 15-year-old may not be good enough to save kids either. If it's swimming. Like I had a cousin who like was a lifeguard. I had several cousins that I think were lifeguards, and that was one thing. She would even, when we had big pool parties, she would even come over. You would like hire her for a few hours to like be a lifeguard. That's one thing. Yeah. But I doubt, like, unless you're like a trained lifeguard or whatever, and you're only 15, he doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Also, like I was saying, kids can just get hurt at any time.
Yeah.
Like I busted my head open on a rock one time playing with my uncle, who was not 15 at the time. He was an adult, but we were waiting on a hayride. It was all of us. Y'all were there. He was chasing me around the park and I started running really fast. I tripped and fell on a rock and
I didn't get mad at him. Like,
cut my head
why
open.
were you chasing her? You know, he was entertaining you while we were waiting. It wasn't anybody's fault.
Yeah,
accidents
sometimes
happen.
Kids are gonna get hurt. Like obviously you don't want them to. Like obviously someone should have been watching them, especially if they're swimming, because that's always a dangerous situation. You don't know how strong of swimmers they are when they're real young. But I have a feeling they were probably really young if he's 15.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing of it is, it's so different now. I treated you so different than when I was treated. I mean, when my brothers and we went camping with my mom and dad and at Lake Texoma, and we always went swimming by ourselves. I mean, we all 3 could swim like fish.
Yeah.
But I know that I was young. Now, my brothers were older, but I remember running down to the beach and us swimming, and we even had cliffs that we jumped off of, and there weren't any adults watching us.
How old were you?
I was young. I mean, probably, maybe, I remember it even when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know.
Yeah, you were different with me. We were talking about this the other day. I was asking how old was I before you would let me stay out like in the pool by myself.
Right. And I couldn't
We
remember.
couldn't remember.
But I don't feel like I did. But
we had a pool put in when I was like 4.
you were
right?
3. Yeah, you were 3.
And y'all made sure, like, I was in like a ton of swimming lessons and all, like, as the pool was being built, because y'all wanted to make sure that I could swim really well.
Petrified.
And then when we got the pool, y'all worked with me so much, and so I could swim really well. It was never a worry.
Yeah.
Also, I've always been one of those people. I got it from you, that even when I was like really little, I could like float. Like my body just floated. Like, you know, like when you're a kid and you want to like hold your breath and try to sink to the bottom and like have a race with your friend. I could never do that. Like I just float so well.
But still, you don't leave kids in a pool alone because they could hit their head
I'm not saying that. I was just
I know.
But yeah, the 15-year-old, no. If you were an adult, I'd be like, okay, maybe you should have watched better. But you're 15.
15 now.
Yeah. So someone said, how old are you and how old are the kids? And he reiterated, he said, I'm 15. The youngest is 5, I think, and the oldest is maybe 10. So, I mean, yeah. Like,
well, that'd be about the spread that my brothers and I were, because my brother's 4 years old. My oldest brother's 4 years older. So he was probably 10 when we were swimming alone and all. But I don't know. My mom and I may not be remembering it correctly. They may have been able to, from the campsite, to see us and everything.
Do you want to talk sea creatures, or do you want to talk mowing?
Oh, we have to go sea creatures. Okay.
This is, I mean, if you didn't know, which I think you do, I'm vegan. Surprise, surprise. So this is, obviously I will have a certain answer to this that someone who's not vegan might not have the same answer to. So just putting that out there for context. So this is from Am I the Asshole? 1 year ago. Am I the asshole for refusing to eat mussels pulled from a seawall? I, 40 female, live in Central Florida. My brother, 35 male, offered to let my wife, my kids, and me stay at his house with him and his family in Miami Beach for the holidays. His house is quite big, so there's plenty of room to accommodate us. I thought it would be a fun trip, and I knew we'd probably be coming down for Christmas anyway, so I said yes, and we drove down today. Anyway, my brother lives on a canal that leads into Biscayne Bay. I'm probably butchering that. Biscayne Bay. If you're from Florida, you're probably like, that's not how you say that. Biscayne, I don't know. In this canal, it leads into Biscayne Bay in Miami Beach. In this canal, people often ride their boats and jet skis into the bay. My brother's backyard ends with a seawall that has mussels and clams growing on it. Mussels are like large clams, if you don't know. Which, is that true? I guess it is. Yeah. Yeah. I guess. I thought mussels were to clams like how like crawdads were to lobster.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like people don't, like they're considered lesser than or something.
I've never eaten mussels, so I don't know.
Tonight for dinner, before I was vegan, I didn't even like seafood, so... Tonight for dinner, my brother was cooking up mussels with spaghetti. I asked him where he got the mussels out of curiosity. He told me that he got them from the seawall. I was immediately disgusted since the canal is polluted and mussels filter the water. That is true. Mussels like help clean things. I thought there was no way it was safe to eat those mussels. I explained to him that the canal is polluted and that the mussels are filtering through all that disgusting water. I asked him to make something else, and he said no, and that he does this all the time. I told my wife. She agreed with me that she didn't want to eat the mussels, and we ended up going with the kids to a restaurant for dinner. When we got back, my brother was furious, and we got into a whole argument, and I haven't spoken to him since. Should I just have eaten the mussels? My brother and his wife and kids all ate them, and they are surprisingly, they don't seem sick. I don't think you're the asshole, but...
Safety first. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know
if you're a marine biologist and you know about mussels and you know about how they filter things, please comment. Or even if you're not a marine biologist and you know a lot about animals, you know who I'm talking to, Zach.
Zach. I want to hear. I want to know.
I want to know if it's because like
safe, but I wouldn't.
Maybe look it up.
Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah. I know that I won't eat fish from the lakes around here anymore, and we used to all the time. Dad and I fished all the time, and we would catch catfish and we'd fry them up, but I would not now. Just from and just because it doesn't make them sick immediately doesn't mean that it's not. Especially
all those microplastics in those mussels.
Well, the fact that they're doing if they eat them all the time.
Yeah. I also just think it's not wrong. I mean, I guess some people could say, well, you're in their house. You should eat what they give you. I don't think I'm of the belief that I don't think it's wrong if you don't like something, you don't have to eat it.
Yeah.
Like,
and if they wanted to pay to go out to eat.
Yeah.
I guess I could see him being offended maybe, but I don't feel like, again, with a lot of these stories, I don't feel like, why make a big deal out of this?
Well, and to me, I would even say, okay, if it was like some cultural thing or something,
right.
I would even be like a little more on the fence. Like, you refused my culture or whatever.
Yeah.
But I maybe you shouldn't have asked him to make something else, because she did say I asked him to make something else. Maybe you should have just been like, you know, we don't eat mussels. We don't like a lot of that. So, and I don't know, it's her brother, so he may know that she does eat mussels all the time or clams or whatever. And he's like, well, why won't you eat these? But I like, maybe you could have like kind of sidestepped it more and been like, you know, you could have even been like, you know, like plan with your wife to blame it on her, like she doesn't like the, you know, just be like, we're gonna go grab some food, we'll be back, thank you so much for wanting to cook for us, but tonight we're gonna grab food out.
We've promised the kids we'd take them out to eat one night, so
I don't know.
Sorry. Could have been a nicer way to do it maybe, but I don't really blame them for not wanting to eat the mussels.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I wouldn't eat them anyway. Like, even pre-vegan, I would have been like, I'm not eating that. I don't like seafood. I don't eat that. Because, like, our family used to do a lot of catfish stuff. And that was even before I was vegan. Like, they would go catch catfish and then fry it up at the lake. And I was like, I'm stop and get me chicken tenders on the way, because I'm not eating that. Because I don't like, I never have liked any kind of seafood, really. So I'm trying to think, like, okay, if it was, like, I was trying to, like, put it into perspective. Like, okay, what if it was, like, they took the seaweed out or something and used it in a ramen or something? Would I eat it? And I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of like with what you said. When things are so crowded now, like lakes and beaches and all, it's like you kind of don't want those things unless you, like, are fishing, like, to survive.
She said in the canal they didn't she say jet skis and stuff? And you're talking about
like motor oil,
the motor
all that stuff,
and I just areas that are used like that, I just don't think it's safe to eat the wildlife that's
I don't know.
there.
I don't know.
And I don't understand the brother being offended.
I don't either.
I don't understand people being so offended to get so angry. Maybe your feelings are hurt a little bit, or with me, and that's why you're probably the way you are too. It'd be the opposite. We'd feel so bad, like, oh, I'm sorry that you didn't want to eat what we could, you know. But
I would be like, can I whip up like a box of mac and cheese?
But anybody come visit my house and you don't like what I'm cooking, I'm not offended.
No.
If you're willing to go buy food and go get it, go get it. People have different likes and different taste. And
we have a friend, I won't name them, but some people listening will know who I'm talking about, who plays D&D with us. And he's kind of a picky eater and everything. And several times when we've hosted D&D here at the house, I've cooked or whatever, and like if something's too spicy or whatever, he'll just like Postmates food. And it never
Yeah.
once has offended me.
No.
I just get that he has I guess I'm more understanding because I have a lot of dietary restrictions because I'm allergic to so many things, and plus I'm vegan. So it never offends me if someone is like, hey, I would rather not eat this.
I'm never offended if people don't want to eat my food.
Yeah.
I'm just like, people have different tastes.
I'm
people,
very much of like the person that's like, oh, I made this, I want you to try it. But
Right.
if it's something that you like going into it, you don't like,
Right.
like if you just don't like spicy food, I'm not going to like pressure you to eat spicy food. Like,
Well, I guess it comes from too. I mean, been married so long, and he was a very picky eater when we were first married. He was like meat and potatoes, and he wouldn't eat. He did not eat a lot of the things that I grew up eating, Mexican food or enchiladas and guacamole, Chinese food,
Asian food, any kind of Asian food.
Yeah, Asian food. He did not, and he's come to love those things because he was open-minded and he started learning to try them. But I never pushed it on him.
Yeah.
I was never like, oh, you're stupid because you don't like guacamole.
Some comments here. Not the asshole. You should never feel pressured to eat something you don't want to eat. This is like meat eaters being assholes to vegans who choose not to eat meat. People have the right to eat or not eat what they want. And mussels are gross. I would have also left. And OP responded, I actually like mussels. I just don't think it's a good idea to get them off of a seawall and polluted water. Someone said, not the asshole. Your brother is a fool if he thinks that eating the filter of the bay in its polluted state is safe. He may not get violently ill after cooking with them, but he's probably building up toxic chemicals in his body. The ramifications of this will probably be apparent after a while and really bad after a few years. Someone said, not the asshole. While they were more than likely fine, even though the canal isn't the cleanest or freshest of waters, eating something that hasn't been sourced somewhere you know to be good is always a risk. That's the thing, yeah. The verdict is not the asshole. I think you can decide at any time what you want to eat or not eat.
Yeah. And don't be offended if people don't want to eat your food. If they're willing to pay and go buy their own food, let them.
Next one, I'll let you choose mowing or privacy outside in your yard.
Let's do privacy.
Okay. It's from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for hanging out outside a lot? The neighboring family wants more privacy, but honestly, they have it already. I'm not paying them any attention. So let's see. I have an apartment in a house that has been split up into apartments. The outdoor space is also split up, so each apartment has a personal outdoor space. The first floor is one apartment and they have the back deck as outdoor space. The second floor is another apartment and they have a balcony and a front yard and side yard as outdoor space. I have the third floor apartment and my outdoor space is the backyard. On the right side of the house, there is an alley for shared access and all of the tenants can cut through there. I was super excited to get a place with an outdoor spot of my own. My landlord also said I could build raised garden beds to garden in as long as I keep them maintained and leave them in good shape when I move out. He was also fine with me getting some outdoor furniture, a few chairs and a table with an umbrella to keep under the trees, and a hammock. So I spend a lot of time outdoors, working remotely, having friends over, reading books and painting, relaxing, gardening, exercising, etc. My landlord is super happy with this. I take really good care of the lawn and garden. But the neighbors, the family on the ground floor with the back deck and the two guys on the second floor with the back balcony, have gotten annoyed at me. The guys on the second floor haven't said anything directly to me, but I overheard them when I was going to bed one night sitting on their balcony and talking about how, quote, finally that bitch has gone inside. The family on the ground floor did say something to me. The couple told me that they're trying to raise two young kids. It's good for kids' developments to be able to play outside, and I am selfishly hogging the outside. I said that it's cool if they play outside too. After all, each apartment has its own personal outdoor area. It wouldn't bother me at all if they use theirs. They said they want their kids and family to have more privacy and not always be watched. I said I wasn't watching. I'm busy with my own stuff, and if they had their kids playing out on the deck, I wouldn't pay them any mind. They said I was missing the point. It's uncomfortable to do stuff outdoors if there's always someone there. Like, it would also be uncomfortable for their guests if they were having a nice dinner party out back and I was sitting right nearby. I said they could ask me for some privacy next time they wanted to host. I wouldn't mind. They said they don't want to ask every time they want to use their own space. I felt like they were asking me to just spend a lot less time outdoors, and that honestly be a huge change, and it would really be disappointing because they only got this apartment for the personal outdoor space, and the indoor space is kind of cramped and ugly. Would I be the asshole if I didn't change my habits and still spent a lot of time outdoors?
You know what I have to say for the family that asked her that? Move.
Yeah.
Move.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one that picked that spot.
Yeah.
You knew that backyard could be used by another tenant, and maybe you should have picked that. So you had the big backyard, because it sounds like maybe she has a lot more room, and I guess the deck is not private.
It is interesting. I'd like to actually see this,
I know.
like how they decided to split up the apartment.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Right.
But I also know it's just something you have to get used to if you live in a shared space. Like, I lived in an apartment for 7 years. Like, obviously, like, I lived in one for a year and the other for like almost 6 years. And I had a balcony that I had a spin bike on that I would work out on. And my balcony faced a courtyard where there were a lot of people coming and going. And at first, when I first started doing it, I was like, this is weird. Like, what if someone's watching me? And it's just something you have to get used to.
Right.
If you live in a space in like a multi-family complex. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you could even say that though about a house, unless you live like off the beaten path with like no one. I mean you've worked out in the front yard, and one of our neighbors is also working in their front yard. That's not like, you don't go up to them and be like, how dare you work in your yard at the same time as me? Like, I don't know. You just have to learn to deal with people. I don't know what else to tell you. Like,
funny story. When I get hot, and it's something I've always done my whole life, my face turns so beet red.
And I got that from you too.
I look like I'm dying.
Yeah, she does. And she's
and so
not.
I do this when I'm working out in the yard, and I've had my neighbors stop and ask me when I'm working in the yard, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay?" And I'm like, "That's just my face."
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking too, like, even our neighborhood, like, we in y'all's backyard, there's a full fence, and we had a pool, but there's a lot of fences in y'all's neighborhood and in like friends' neighborhoods I have that aren't even like they're iron fences where you can like see fences, through.
Yeah, a lot of neighborhoods make that mandatory.
Yeah.
So that everybody can see everybody's yard.
And like, you can see your pool and everything else. So that's not even an apartment thing. Like, okay, are you not going to go out and swim because your next door neighbor is out working in their yard? I mean, like I said, it's just something that you have to get used to. And I know it kind of sucks. Like, there's certain times you do just want to have your backyard to yourself.
But I think it's very nice. She said, if you know you're going to be entertaining, you're having friends, let me know and I'll...
Yeah, like, she's trying to work with them.
Right.
And you can't keep someone else from being outdoors because it bugs you.
It's like you said, she rented that place because she wanted that outdoor space. If they thought that was going to bother them, then they shouldn't have rented their space. Yeah. They should have found a place that didn't. And maybe it could have been a situation where maybe for a long time, maybe someone lived there that didn't use the outdoor space. Yeah. So they got used to having their privacy. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she comes in and she uses it all the time.
Yeah.
But that's still not her fault.
I can even see me thinking like, ugh, they're always out there. I feel like they're watching me.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just something you kind of have to get used to. Yeah. Like I said, I just kind of got used to it. Yeah. When I was spinning on my balcony, there was the time that I would work out. There was a guy literally across the way that he always worked out on his balcony. And at first I was like, oh, I hate this. Like, why can't he work out? But I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Like, and he's probably not caring about what I'm doing as much as I'm not caring about what he's doing. Comments, not the asshole. Your neighbors are being unreasonable. Keep doing what you're doing. If they want that much privacy outside, they should move somewhere with a more private yard.
Right.
OP said, yeah, honestly, I was confused by their expectations to not be seen by anyone when hanging out outside in a fairly large city. Like, I honestly wouldn't mind or feel watched or whatever if they all hung out outside just as much as I do. I don't really expect that kind of privacy. I think maybe they were just so used to the previous tenant who apparently never used the backyard and they were always able to have privacy back there. Yeah.
Which does stink.
Yeah. Because you were like, man, we have privacy. I can see being like, dang it, you know?
Yeah.
But
you can't get mad at her. You might have to consider moving.
Yeah.
You want more privacy.
Someone said, seems like they're doing a lot of watching you. Whose privacy is truly being affected here? I'd call them out on that.
Yeah.
And OP said, they might not be watching that hard. It's hard to miss someone doing flips back and forth right outside your house. What? What? I'm sorry, what? Doing flips?
Maybe she's just funny.
Okay. And one more comment from the OP. Someone had said, my guess is the first floor family wants the backyard for their kids to play in as well as the deck. I can't because OP is using it. OP said, yeah, I wrote this in response to another comment, but I'm copying it here because it gives a lot of context. I forgot to mention this, but when we were talking, they mentioned how kids need time outside and said some passive-aggressive stuff about how I play or exercise out there a lot for an adult. Swinging from the trees even, which is true. I do yoga every morning and do gymnastics practice often. Flips, handstands, and stretches, strength flexibility exercises in the grass, plus on some of the stronger thin tree branches, stuff like pull-ups, dips, or inverted crunches to train my strength for the uneven bars. I feel like they see me, quote unquote, playing outside in a way they think kids should be doing and perhaps adults should have grown out of, and feel envious or resentful, like a grown lady is hanging upside down from a tree while their kids are stuck indoors.
So she's a gymnast.
Dope.
But that's still not her fault.
Someone said, they're being so dumb. If anything, they should send their kids out and maybe learn gymnastics and cool stuff from you. You sound like you'd enjoy teaching them.
Yeah.
OP said, to be honest, that'd be really dangerous trying to coach without pads or proper equipment. I feel comfortable practicing outside because I've been doing gymnastics for about 25 years and know my limits. But for a beginner, they should really join a gym.
So she doesn't want to teach, but...
Someone said, did the first floor neighbors and second floor neighbors complain about each other? I wonder if they got used to the backyard as a free area and they were using before you moved in. OP said, no idea. I think they might have been using the yard. Apparently, the last tenant was a workaholic who was almost never home. Yeah, so they probably were using the yard.
Yeah, they probably were.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sucks, but you just have to get used to your situation.
Or move,
which
Consider
I know
moving.
That's hard to do, but
be neighborly.
Yeah. So that's the great outdoors for you. Some spooky, some creepy crawly, some obnoxious. All
the
that
ants,
good stuff.
Man, the ants.
The ants. Yikes.
That's crazy.
No, thank you. Yeah. Good times. That's why I don't go outside.
Don't listen to her.
Yeah, don't listen
to
me.
The great outdoors is great.
I'll go outside in the winter. It's great. Everything's dead and it's cold. No mosquitoes are going to bite me.
True.
That's the biggest thing. Like, I'm like, my blood is like candy to mosquitoes.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
I know.
So yeah, let us know your outdoor stories. Which one of these was the worst? Let us know if you know about bugs or mussels or marine biology. We would love to hear your thoughts. Or if you have a creepy camping story, love those. Drop them in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Let us know any subreddits or things you'd like to see us cover in the future. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.